We had a cable dragging.
We've been having trouble with the little toggle switch to put down the stabilizers, and it broke on me. This one has been giving us problems for a while. We knew we probably needed to replace the toggle switch. Hey guys, it's Rhonda and Jim. And we recently got back from a trip where we had a few hiccups. And just so you know, it's not if your RV will break, it's when your RV will break.
So we're here to give you a couple of tips and tricks to get you in the right frame of mind for when something does happen, because it definitely will.
As I'm sure that you've heard a lot of people say, an RV is basically like a little earthquake moving down the road.
Yeah, I mean, just like any moving vehicle, you know, you're going to hit bumps and potholes and all sorts of stuff.
Lots of potholes.
Yeah, so when you're driving down the road, you know, everything in your RV is bouncing around. You know, especially if you have a towable like a fifth wheel and a travel trailer like we do. The stuff in the rear is going to be bouncing quite a bit right off the axle. So
it is going to be shaken up like you would not believe.
And sometimes it's like Christmas morning when you open that door. What are you going to find next? Hopefully it's nothing broken.
Yeah.
But just remember that little dish inside your microwave, that can become airborne if you're not careful.
Yeah, it can sling itself around, hit the door, pop out, and then break on the floor or break something else when it lands.
Yeah. You know, when you first get your RV, new or used, you're excited. You know, you want to go, you want to just get out there and camp. But there are certain things you really need to take notice of, and that's, you know, your moving mechanisms, such as your tongue jack, your hydraulic jacks, your electric stabilizers, and the tools that your RV actually comes with to help you when there is a failure involved with that mechanism. So get to know your rig, get to know the equipment inside your rig,
and know where the tools are that you will need in case you have to manually crank something down or crank something back up. You just never know.
Yeah. We had our first experience with this when we were headed out to Zion. All right, the good news is we made it on time to Amarillo. Everybody's safe. Bad news is we have a failure. So our front jack no longer wants to go down, so it's time to go manual. Our tongue jack had a failure. It was an electrical connection, and you've been traveling all day, you're hot, you know, and I wasn't thinking about the tools that the RV came with, so I grabbed a socket wrench and I got the tongue jack down manually, which is great. It worked. But you know what? There's a tool that the RV came with that would have made my life a lot easier.
If he just opened the underbelly and looked to the right, there it was on the wall in there, but he wasn't thinking about that. We had been driving for, 6-7 hours on that trip, and
yeah,
lo and behold, that went wrong. He just grabbed what he saw first.
Day one of a long trip, you just want to get in, get situated, you know. So state of mind is key when you have a failure, you know.
I'm not gonna do what you all think I'm gonna do, which is just flip out!
Familiarize yourself with, you know, anything that touches the ground, if it's electronic, hydraulic, whatever. Figure out how the system works, so that way if it does fail, when it fails, that you're a little bit prepared, you know.
That you may be able to, you know, make do until you can get to a service tech or something like that, or get somebody to come out to you.
Yeah.
But make sure you know a little bit about it. Watch some YouTube videos on your mechanical parts. That way, if you have to basically slap a Band-Aid on something, you can.
And the other thing too is, if you have a traveling partner like Rhonda, you know, teach her as well. You know, that way if you're in a crazy state of mind, you've been driving all day, it's hot, it's 109 degrees like it was for us, you know, you have another brain that says, hey, wait, slow down, this is what we need to do, as opposed to just freaking out, you know.
In the heat, it's hard to settle yourself down. You're gonna freak out, you're gonna lose your temper because, you know, you're tired and then you're hot on top of that and you're standing in the sun trying to fix something. You know, level heads do not prevail in that situation.
Yeah, so it was 109 degrees when we had our 3 hiccups. One of them was completely my fault. It was user related, but that wasn't anything detrimental. Now the stabilizer jacks, we push a button, and that was my fault for not knowing how to manually do it. So it took me about 45 minutes to figure out how to manually drop the stabilizer jack.
So we had it going down, but it went down too much, so we had to bring it back up, and then it wouldn't stop going back up. And now we can't get it go down at all. So this is interesting. He's trying to see if we can do it manually. We just don't know. And it's 100 degrees out. We're sweating our butts off. Like I said, never a dull moment, right? Hopefully we can get this stabilizer down. The front ones are stabilized. They're already down. They went down with no problem. This one has been giving us problems for a while. We knew we probably needed to replace the toggle switch, but we hadn't yet. And the way our trailer faces when we have it at home, it sits in the sun, so the plastic just broke. It just deteriorated, so.
Yeah, and again, that's another kind of user fault because I knew we had trouble with the switch. I should have ordered a new one.
We've been talking about ordering one for what, 2 months, 3 months, something like that. We knew it was going, and it went.
Yeah. Well, guess what? We have a new one now, and we'll install it, and we'll show you a video on that at another time. Well, now we know, and we can go fix it next time that happens. Hopefully it won't, but in reality, it probably will. So yeah, you know, just when you're planning your trip and you're prepping your RV, make sure that you look at everything that's going to touch the ground. Make sure you look underneath your RV, look for low-hanging wires or something that just isn't right, because one of the failures we had is something got kicked up from the truck. It hit the tongue jack and it actually pulled out the power wire to the tongue jack, and that was dragging the whole way there.
And we had no idea, and I only realized it when I'm helping him to back into our site, and I'm like, I thought it was for the tongue jack cover we had. Maybe the string came out of it. No, it was the electrical cord for it. So, yeah.
Things shift, things move, the zip ties come undone, and you know, cables or whatnot can droop down.
And switches break, as we found out with our electric stabilizer jack, that we knew it was going out, we knew it was starting to break, and it broke.
Another thing we want to talk about is, you know, you've got your RV, you're hitting the road, you want to make sure that you have some basic tools on board, you know. Obviously a basic toolkit is key. A couple of things you definitely want to have is duct tape and zip ties, because those are two of your friends when things go wrong.
Oh yeah.
You know, and also, you know, a turn-up-on tape for the roof. And
Dicor in case you gotta patch something really fast.
So,
and if you know, one or the other will work. You know, if you don't have both of them, that's okay. But have one of those in case something happens to your roof, a tree limb falls or it scrapes across the top and puts a tear in it. You want something to patch it temporarily until you can get your roof taken care of.
You know, and a lot of people don't know how to change a tire on a trailer. So, one thing that I thought was crazy was my trailer came with a spare tire, but it didn't come with a lug wrench or even a jack.
No.
So
they just assume you already have one, so, you know.
And as everybody knows, not all lug nuts are the same size. So make sure you do your research and find out what size you need in case you have to take that tire off, and also have a way to jack up the trailer to get the tire off.
One thing you do want to carry with you is some sort of thicker gloves, like mechanics gloves or something like that. He likes to cut himself on every trip almost, doing something with the jack or something. He always ends up with cuts and scrapes. He never puts gloves on. So save yourself and your knuckles some trouble and make sure you have gloves with you.
Yeah, I learned from my mistake. You know, I always joke around and say, well, if I'm not bleeding, then it's not a true camping trip. So, but don't be like me.
Don't be like Joe.
You know, another topic that, you know, you need to keep in mind when you're on your journey is if you do have a towable, you know, make sure that you're maintaining your tow vehicle. You know, Make sure that you have everything to change a tire on your tow vehicle as well, because obviously maintenance on a vehicle is key, especially summer months. Everything's hot. Check your tires. Check your tires on your tow vehicle. Check your tires on your trailer. Make sure that you're not going to have a failure that you could have prevented.
It's one thing to maintain your vehicle, just your everyday driving vehicle, but when you're putting something that's 5, 6, 7, upwards of 10 or 12,000 pounds behind you, you're towing that. You're putting more strain on your vehicle. So that vehicle needs to be in tip-top shape in order to haul that. So just make sure you're keeping an eye on all the stuff that you really should anyway.
Yeah, and if you happen to have a breakdown or a failure while you're driving, do your best not to panic. Use your co-pilot, know your location. That is key, because if you have to call 911, you need to tell them where you are. The other thing too is if you break down on the side of the road, you might want to let somebody else know that's not with you where you are. Just say, hey, we broke down. It's just a safety issue. Be careful. The other thing too is, do you have roadside coverage? Roadside coverage is great, but a lot of times it's not going to get there in a reasonable amount of time. Especially if you're blocking traffic, you're on the side of the road, and you have to change that tire. Know that you can do it confidently.
And with anything that you purchase as far as roadside assistance, make sure you read reviews on it. I've heard a lot of horror stories about these roadside assistance programs from various companies. I'm not going to name anybody, but there have been some that are just atrocious. They don't ever get there. They try to send a tow truck from somewhere that it'll be hours and hours. So if it's something you can fix, that's key. Make sure you know how to fix a flat or patch something up right quick, just to get you down the road to a service station, or the next RV park, even somewhere where you can be stationary for a while and maybe get a tech to come out to you when they can.
Yeah, and safety is key. And if you happen to have any issue and you're at a camping spot at a park, a lot of them don't want you to work on your vehicle while you're there.
Right.
But if it's something you have to fix, just, hey, go talk to the office, go talk to the park host and go, hey, in order for me to leave this site, I've got to do this.
Yeah, just let them know. Most places will be cool with it. Just let them know, hey, I had a failure on the way here. We just realized it when we pulled in. Is it okay if I work on it, during the hours when nobody's sleeping, during the regular everyday hours? Don't work on your rig, from 10 to 7, 10 at night to 7 in the morning, because that's quiet hours. But be courteous of people next to you and things like that, and just talk to the office and let them know what's going on.
Another key piece of information is going to be know your plumbing system. Do you have what's called PEX throughout your rig? If you do, look at your connections. It's always good every so often, make sure that all of your connections are tight. Do they have a crack? Spot leaks ahead of time. That way they're not going to be an issue going forward.
Yeah, like we said before, it's like a rolling earthquake every time you move your rig. And those plastic lines and plastic connections that some of them have will wiggle loose. It's not if they're going to, it is they will wiggle loose, and all that needs to be done is just a little quick tighten and they're good. We had a drip behind our toilet months and months ago, and it just something unscrewed a little bit. I tightened it back up, boom, done. So just know that things like that do happen often, and it's usually a really quick and simple fix.
Yeah, and keep up with your maintenance. If you have something that needs to be maintained, your roof, for example, cleaning your roof, cleaning out your air conditioner coils.
Checking all your seals on your roof, around your skylight, your air fan things in your bathroom, just anywhere up there that there's like Dicor sealant. You want to wash your roof and then look at it really careful, and if there's cracks, reseal it.
Yeah, because that's you know, if you're doing your maintenance, you're going to see stuff ahead of time, and that way you're not going to have a surprise when you hit a freak thunderstorm and it's raining buckets out there. Another good tip is to join a group on Facebook for the particular model or brand of RV that you have, and search to find common problems, you know, because the owners that have that model typically will tell you, okay, well, I had this problem, you know, like for us, we had an issue with our shower leaking. So I found a way, well, we found a way to get around that, and we introduced it in a video, and we've had several owners come back and say, you know what, I've had that problem too, that's a great fix. So use the internet as a resource. You know, use Facebook, use YouTube. Those can help you get by when you're not sure what's going on. And then of course, everybody that buys a new RV gets that big thick packet of owner's manuals.
Keep them in the rig at all times. You never know when you're going to need them. And if it didn't come with one, if you didn't get owner's manuals, as I've heard some people say that they didn't get the big thick packet of all the stuff that they need, go online and download them to your phone or your computer, something that you always take with you.
Look up
that way.
No, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That way, you know, you can look it right up in your little book on your phone or whatever, and you know what the components are, what might need to be fixed, what you can look at to try to fix. You know, it'll help.
Yeah, and you know, it's always good to keep a maintenance journal, and you know, that way you know the last time you cleaned your roof, the last time you cleaned your air conditioner, and you can notate, hey, this day, you know, my tongue jack was acting up, and that way you can go back and take a look at it and find it. Well guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. We travel around Texas, and we're venturing further and further out. You know, we'll be going to Florida next year, so
Gonna hit a lot of states with that trip.
let us know what kind of issues you've had with your RV. What have you learned from your experiences, you know, and what are some of those what the F moments that you're just like, you panicked, you had a breakdown, you didn't know what to do. How did you overcome that? We'd love to know.
Yeah, what was the fix? What was the problem, and how did you fix it?
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you down the road.
Bye.